Hi, everybody. My name is Justin Grotto, and I'm the security technician and kind of security expert here at Tier 3 IT Solutions. And today we're going to be talking about a specific case study of a business email compromise that I actually had I had to be a part of, and that I responded to in the last couple of years, right? So I'm joined today by with Jesse Hill from Tier 3 IT Solutions, the owner and president. Thanks, Jesse, for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks, Justin.
So setting the stage, it starts with the attack, and the attack kind of like goes in a different, you know, periods and times of an attack. So it doesn't start off with right away they have access and everything. There's a period of they learn about the customer, they maybe send out some phishing emails, something sticks, or they do a bit of reconnaissance. And what they do with the reconnaissance is they're learning about um, whoever they're going to be targeting. So what really happened was a customer receives an email asking to correct payment information via wire transfer.
So I just want to stop and maybe just clarify a little bit of what Justin's talking about here, because for somebody outside, they may not be catching all the details here. So specifically, what's happened in this scenario is, there's a business who has a customer, and at some point, a person within the business, their email account became compromised. And as we've talked about in previous sessions, to be compromised just means somebody who shouldn't have access and control of the account does have access and control of the account. And, in this case, the account happens to handle some of the finances, in terms of the billing and the relationship with the customers. What we found interesting when we looked back at this case was that the account was compromised for quite a period of time before the criminals tried to convert that into like a theft or stolen cash. So why is that? What are they doing in that time from when they get into an account to when they say, all right, we're gonna hit these guys now?
That's actually a really good question. And what they're doing in that time is they're learning about like the account that they've taken control of. What they want to do is get a lay of the land and read emails, find out what they can about payments coming in or going out if someone's doing both AR and AP at the business. But they really want to intercept funds either going in or coming out. So whenever a payment, they'll watch whenever invoices are about to be paid. They'll look for the bigger amounts or maybe amounts that make a lot more sense that are coming or going from maybe a little laxer security, or maybe just someone that doesn't investigate too much. And what they'll do is they'll wait for the right time, and then they'll act whenever the iron is hot and something is ready to go. They know enough about it that they can kind of take over, be that person that they've stolen the account about, and then actually intercept and take that money.
It makes me think of the old Ocean's 11, right? The movie. They're trying to rob the casino, but you don't just walk in blind, right? You visit the casino and you sit and you watch and you look at where the cameras are and you look at how the money moves around, and you figure out who's vulnerable and at what point you're going to take advantage of that. And I think that that's really what Justin's saying here, is that really smart cyber criminals they recognize that the better prepared they are, the bigger the payoff. And, in a situation, like this particular case, they waited a couple of weeks before they, chose to try to, essentially steal the money from this client. And, that also gets me thinking about stats is that, and I don't know what the average is nowadays, but I've seen it a lot of times where most businesses are unaware that they have a compromise of their system for months, sometimes years, because the criminals are smart. They're gaining a foothold and they're using it to move into the most advantageous position for themselves.
100%. And the more loud you are, the more that it's more likely you're going to lose access. And if you lose access, what did you spend all that time trying to get access for? You're just going to waste it. So compromises can be persistent and last quite a long time. Yeah.
So, ultimately, in the case that you're referencing, eventually the business asks the customer to send money. However, the cyber criminal had gotten in between them and, was getting the client to send money to a different bank account. So what happened, after that?
So after the money was sent to the new account, this happened on the 25th of that month. And just want to say that they didn't ask the client about the payment until the 30th of the month. So it was a 5-day window in which the account was paid, the attacker was paid, and that they didn't detect it for that period of time. Once they actually did find out, their immediate response was to reach out to their IT department. And when they reached out their IT department, there was immediate, we have a a procedure that is followed for whenever this thing happens. And what you want to do is assess whether or not there was an account compromise, or if it was maybe that it was spoofed. It was not spoofed. It was actually from the user's email address. So it meant that it was likely an account compromise. What they immediately did was disabling the account and revoking active sessions. So anytime there was an allowed login, any other previously allowed logins are no longer allowed. And they reset also the multi-factor authentication, or the 2FA for that, and began to do that recovery and reset the account password with the customer.
You mentioned something important there about the multi-factor authentication, and I want to bring it up because I think a lot of people are under the impression that if you have multi-factor authentication, your account is secure or can't be compromised. But unfortunately, that's not the case.
That's not the case. Whenever you do satisfy multi-factor authentication, you submit your MFA token. What you're given is a token in your browser, and that token goes with you everywhere you go. And so you go to Google, you go to some other legitimate site, then that MFA token that you had for your Microsoft account kind of comes with you. Especially if you're using an Edge browser. If you then land on a phishing page, like a landing page, and you've fallen victim to a phish, that poses that there is possibility that your MFA token could be stolen if you fall for a malicious attack like that.
Yeah, and we've also seen it where a lot of people use authenticator applications or SMS text notifications, And we don't see it as much nowadays, but I remember, the push notifications on a cell phone where you might be, out having dinner and your phone buzzes and it says, are you logging into X, whatever web page, yes or no, approve or decline or whatever. And what criminals started doing was just hammering on those web pages. And because sure, you hit decline, but then it does it again and again and again. And we were seeing it where it would be, hitting people over and over until they just get tired. And maybe it's the thing where, it buzzes at 2 a.m. and they, in their sleep accidentally hit approve. And so there are ways that multi-factor can get bypassed, and it's not always a fault of an individual. And so when you suspect an account has become compromised, the first thing is, as Justin said, reach out, get some help, find out if it is genuinely compromised. A lot of people think their account has been compromised when really it's being spoofed, or impersonated in another way.
Mm.
If there's a financial implication, right, you want to talk to the police. You want to talk to your insurance company. You want to make sure that the officials are involved, because most IT companies are not technically qualified to be forensic investigators. And it's actually important that the evidence is collected and protected in a very specific way.
There's actually a good resource that we have now in Canada. It's called the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center, and any crimes either against a business or against an individual can be reported there. Used to be that they would redirect you to your local RCMP detachment to report these types of fraud, but now there is kind of like a central location to report these types of things.
Unfortunately, it is a rising crime. As we mentioned in a previous episode, the financial toll is significant, and we just hope that talking about it a little bit more helps people become aware and work to protect themselves. So, Justin, anything else you want to touch on this particular case study before we sign off?
Just a couple other things about what the lessons we learned is that be careful. I would say be careful what you click on, install, where you enter your login credentials. If you're already logged in today, there is a very low percentage chance that you're going to be asked to log in again. Right? We barring that there is something wrong with your account, like it's near zero that you'll ask twice in a day. If you're asked to log in again, I would say that's something fishy. You should consider not doing that.
The one last thing, maybe before we sign off on this one, the good news in this story, they recovered all the money. And, that's a little bit of luck for this particular scenario. But, sometimes the good guys, do get a little win.
Jesse, I'd like to thank you for joining me for this Phishing Fridays, and thank everyone for viewing out there, and have a great day.
Yeah, thanks, Justin.